Let's try that again.
Yeah, words, he said. He says words.
We're saying words. Words are spoken. Words are said when words are spoken. Words. I think we're good.
I think we're good. I don't know. I can hear you correctly.
Wait, let me see your handsome face on camera.
Listen.
Right, it's good. It's good.
So I'm going to be talking to you like that, but every now and again I will do this.
That's the beauty of
The
this
head.
angle, yeah.
All right. We are live.
We are live.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks for
It's great to
visiting.
be back.
Here in my home in Miami.
Thank you for welcoming me.
What is that real rich place in Miami that everyone tries? Port Lauderdale?
Port Lauderdale.
That's where we live, apparently.
Okay.
Okay.
No time to waste. We
All
have
right,
important
done.
topics on the agenda today. Something that I think is something the world, if you haven't already heard about it, it's worth discussing today. So most people don't know that on the 27th of May, we actually spoke about this a couple months ago.
I think we had a punch up.
Yeah, we did have a punch
Yeah,
up.
we had a bit of a punch up.
And
It was fun.
on that same episode, you actually made a prediction about what was going to happen in Palestine, Israel, many months before it happened.
Some call me prophet with an F.
And honestly,
I prophesized.
like for such an anti-vaxxer, blah, 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 conspiracy theorist that I am, I'm
Yes.
surprised I didn't believe you. And I'm like, all right, this guy's a...
You know what I think it is, Bill? I think it's because you're so, you're so suspicious about the way the government operates that you think that they're all one big club. Ultimately, they do have shared interests around the world, but they still have their own policies and their own requirements. So what ends up happening when something like that comes into other people's, into other countries' laws and their own people's kind of like approval ratings and stuff like that, they got to factor all that stuff in before they try to push something. However, I will try to tell you something that I believe, and that is that sometimes what they do is they prepare the world for what is eventually going to happen.
Yes.
So perhaps that this vote for the World Health Organization having this extra judicial right to kind of dictate to all the countries in the world how the next pandemic is going to be kind of dealt with them being the ultimate authority in that regard. I wouldn't be surprised if it was within the next 3 to 5 years if that law doesn't actually pass.
Doesn't actually pass.
It would pass.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like you just kind of pre-prep.
Yes.
Sometimes a vote like that requires a secondary government to come in that's already ready to sell out their country and say yes, whereas the existing one might be probably being a little bit more grabby when it comes to what they want as part of the conditions. So if not this time around, definitely I'd say the next time around this vote comes around, it will happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. But let's take the small wins when we can.
Yep.
To those who don't know, so the context around this, you've touched on it, but I think the current standing pandemic response treaty, the global one, is from 2005, I believe.
Yep.
I think, don't quote me, essentially they've tried to make amendments to it. And as you said, it's essentially a power grab.
Yep.
Now, there's a few moving parts here. I think the most important part about this is the document is so boring and so uninteresting, and there's so much more happening in the world that it just completely went under the radar. We are so saturated by content that no one gives a fuck about this. No, most people didn't know this meeting happened on the 27th of May. Probably one of the most important meetings that is going to literally affect your life happened on the 27th of May, and everyone just doesn't understand that we collectively dodged a bullet for now, and the impacts it was going to have on our life.
Well, it was not due to our involvement, that's for sure. You know, everyone's been saturated with negotiations in Ukraine, Russia, and then you got the Israeli conflict.
Of course,
it's taken up all the headlines. These are all very important for American politics.
Yes,
and American politics, generally speaking, is the world politics. Whatever happens there is going to affect the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are being focused there, and like you said, massive meeting. A lot of rights were going to be probably destroyed or taken away.
Yep.
And by chance, it just didn't work out when they voted for it.
Well,
so it did not go through.
Not by chance. Like yes, by chance, but I always keep bringing up Bret Weinstein. He's like a massive role model for me. He's not him single-handedly, but he's one of the people, the influential people that essentially raised awareness towards these things to the point where the World Health Organization, not directly, but indirectly in response, were saying, you know, there's misinformation out there. People are putting misinformation out there.
Yep.
Now,
I love that word.
Exactly. And then, so another one that...
And by the way, the word misinformation is misinformation. It's used as it's weaponized now to misinform people by accusing everything else of misinformation.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even say something true. All someone has to say is misinformation.
No, not it. Yes. And they even took it a step further in writing. They've I don't know if this word existed before, but have you heard of malinformation?
Yes. Oh, that's a new one.
That's the worst one.
Yep.
That one essentially means that, and it's acknowledged by definition, you are saying something that is true, acknowledged it's true, but is not in the interest of the government,
so
and
it's
therefore it's malinformation, and they can basically switch on all these, like, I don't know, processes that essentially make you a criminal.
Levers.
Literally, for speaking the truth by definition.
It wasn't the right time, and they didn't feel like it at the time. You know what I'm going to tell you guys from now on? Don't worry about malinformation.
Don't worry about that.
Misinformation. You need bill information.
Yeah.
Either 1 bill or 2 bill. If we say it's true, it's probably more true than whatever you're being told on the media. Even if we're wrong, we're still truer.
Yes.
So
we're more honest at least.
100%. So bill information.
Bill information. Yeah. Write it down.
There's no law against that.
Yeah. And so I get very curious as to if anyone who's listening, what their response is to hearing this.
Yep.
Because it's scary when the health advisory, I was about to say government body. The World Health Organization is not a government body.
No, it's
not a government body.
It's an unelected body.
But even me, as I'm talking, and I know this, I was gonna say this government body. They are not a government body.
Yep.
But sorry, what the point I was going to make.
By the way, you know Gabriel Ceci, whatever his name is.
No.
So he's the guy that sits there wearing the glasses, right? And tells us whatever the World Health Organization wants to say. He basically isn't even a scientist or a medical doctor. What the hell is he doing there?
Yeah, well, he's probably a politician.
I don't know where he came from, to be honest with you. But if you do, put it in the comments. If you know anything about Gabriel Ceci, whatever his name is, all right, we shouldn't be listening to a guy that we didn't elect. I don't care where he comes from around the world. And our governments are negotiating with a whole bunch of people on our rights. If this had gone through,
but yeah,
this is like
we'll get to what the actual contents of it. But I think the thing that scares me and everyone is it's either trust the bodies in place that are meant to protect you, like the World Health Organization.
Never.
But I understand, yeah.
Yep.
But to not do that means you realize, wait, we're actually fucked. There's nothing in place that's actually looking out for us at the moment. No. So
it's all a capitalist game, regardless whether it's in health, wealth, well-being,
stealth,
where people and stealth. I don't know how that, but you know what I'm saying. You know, like it's all capitalism at work. Whether you're communist, whether you're socialist, Marxist, whatever you want to be. At the end of the day, if they're talking politics on a world stage, it's capitalism because it's all about the dollars and cents and power. So whatever they come up with is never ever about us. It's never about us.
Yep.
We're just pawns.
And essentially what's happened is during COVID, so this pandemic health treaty, it's essentially what it seems like is they've learnt their lessons from COVID.
Yep.
COVID happened. There was a narrative push.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what your position was. There was a push, yeah? Narrative push. And then the truth started slipping through the cracks. And then eventually the truth came out. Still, there's like an air around it, but the truth came out. Essentially what this treaty does is, or this amendment, is it kind of closes the chinks in their armor.
Yep.
So that for the future one, they know where they fucked up and they've amended it here.
Yeah, they tried to.
So now, if you've made it this far and you're like, all right, these people are crazy, the World Health Organization, there's no way they don't care about my human rights and my freedoms. Allow me to, so these are going to be linked in the show notes below, the description below. I've actually, they were required to make a document. So this following is from the World Health Organization website. Right. You're going to have a link to the website, and then you're going to have a link to the PDF that you can download from the website. And that's what I'm going off here. I've extracted the parts that just seem most interesting for this conversation.
Sure.
And essentially, we're going to go through the parts that they've crossed out and what they've replaced it with. We've given our opinion, but if you can, please ignore our opinion. Come into the following part with your own open mind and tell me what you think these actually mean when it's pretty blatantly there. So this one's just a little cheeky one. They've removed all the terms that say non-binding.
Okay, yep.
So just that alone is kind of a
Yep.
It sets the structure of where they're going with it.
It gives them fluidity.
No, it gives them power.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's fluidity. Obviously, it's all about power, but it gives them fluidity. It's non-binding.
No, they've removed
They've
non-binding.
removed the word non-binding.
Yeah, therefore, like implying binding. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it was like an advisory thing, and now it is legally binding.
Yes.
And that's what they're proposing towards our governments. So that's the first change there in their definition section. Article 2, scope and definitions. This is existing. The purpose and scope of these regulations are to prevent, protect against, prepare, control, and provide a public health response to the international spread of diseases, including through health systems readiness and resilience in ways that commensurate with and restrict to. So this is the interesting part. So in ways that commensurate with and restricted to, it used to say public health risks.
Yep.
So we understand public health risks. They've removed that and they've replaced it with all risks with a potential to impact public health.
It's whenever we feel like it.
That literally, bro.
Literally.
And that's the fluidity there.
Yeah, and that's why I told you. You need to speak. That's why the
malinformation.
And there's bill information.
It's
And
bill
that's how you're hearing it direct here. This is how it's supposed to be said.
First, yeah. And like that point really needs to land. So public health risks change to all risks with a potential to impact public health. So technically, if you don't wear your seatbelt correctly, that might impact the public's health. Or if you're smoking too much, by definition,
You shouldn't have said that.
that might impact the public's health. So they're literally, and this is what you notice, and this is what the world is doing right now. Everyone is broadening definitions.
Yeah.
So that this is any argument, whether it's any phobe or ism.
Yep.
Basically, you get called a phobe or an ism on things that aren't phobes or isms.
Yep,
So
yep.
everyone's just broadening definitions so that they can clump things in there.
Yep.
Even the whole trans argument, what's a man, what's a woman? No, we have definitions, we have structures, because that's how we fucking see reality.
Absolutely.
So what they're doing here is, and again, it's boring and shit, but they've slipped it in.
Yep.
They're, as you said, whenever they want, they can legally declare something to be a pandemic.
Yep.
And legally binding, which our governments who we've democratically elected,
Yep.
we're going to agree to this. Therefore, by proxy, we've agreed to this as well.
Yep. And that's just by removal of the word non-binding is automatically inferred that it's binding.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just because the other one gives you a caveat to say, well, it's only if we agree.
Advisory, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But by just removing it, you don't have to add it. Add it causes an argument. It'll cause pushback.
Yeah.
So you just remove the word you don't like and just don't replace it with the word you're inferring.
Yes.
But it's like saying that they want to be a world police when it comes to our
Literally,
health.
yeah.
Whenever they feel like it or whenever they think it suits apparently us. Really, I believe it'd be whatever suits them.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Pharma wants to sell something through. They're like, hey, we think there's a potential everyone's going to get airborne AIDS through their eyeballs. You have to have these eye drops worldwide.
Yes.
If you don't have the eye drops, you're not at work.
We made
you're
it
not
last
shit,
week.
You're not go. Yeah. And we just fast tracked it too. We're just going to test it on all your eyeballs at once. Don't get AIDS through your eye.
Stay eye aid free.
And that's basically the last two items that you've just mentioned.
Yep.
Is basically saying that.
Exactly.
How we feel and no one can stand in our way.
So now the next one's actually my favorite. This is the best part. So
This is what would have had you vote for it.
Yeah. This is
Sarcastic.
Yes, joke. But this is honestly the best part. So if you're still in a position where you're thinking, all right, these two bill squares are crazy and they don't know what they're talking about, World Health Organization cares about my freedom. They care about me, okay?
Of course.
Please press the link and read this part for yourself. So Article 3, principals. Okay.
Oh, principles.
Principles.
I've never liked any of them.
No.
Throughout my whole tertiary education.
Yeah. The FM. All right.
Yep.
And this is just going to add on top of that.
Yep.
The implementation of these regulations shall be with full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
They've removed that.
Oh, geez. I thought that just trumped the other two arguments, but by removing that, it basically means that I can't say anywhere in this agreement, where do I get a say? It hurts when you squirt this HIV like an eye drop in my eye. They're like, shut up. It's not about you.
Like, you agreed to this. Yeah, you guys agreed to this. Let it sink in. They've removed respect for human dignity.
So what? They're going to come in on F you, eye drop in the eye.
Slap you.
Slap you. Get it. Stand in the corner. Jesus Christ.
Shit.
They removed all that. That was all there before.
They removed human dignity, respect for dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons.
So, yeah, so it's just shut the hell up and do whatever we say.
They've replaced it with based on the principles of equity, inclusivity. What? Coherence and in accordance with their common but differentiated responsibilities of the states parties taking into consideration socio-economic development. What the fuck are you talking about?
Basically, they're saying, I think, can you say that to me just one more time so I can make sure I'm correct? Yes.
Yeah, so principles of equity, inclusivity, coherence in accordance with the common but differentiated responsibilities of the states parties. So
socio-economic, you said before.
Yeah, so taking into consideration their social and economic development.
Okay.
So fair enough, yeah, we can play the inclusivity card.
Sorry, did they add that or remove that?
They've added that.
Okay, they add that as opposed to what was already in there where there was respect and rights and all that other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the argument is, and this was the argument during COVID, was if your individual fundamental right, you don't know what's best for you and your decisions are affecting my grandparents or my ex. So remove your right. And that's for the greater good, the social greater good.
Yeah, but then it puts it straight back into your government's rights over you. As long as they take into social economic environment, they get to enforce whatever they agree to over and beyond your individual rights.
I don't get why they had to remove it.
They removed one, but they added the second one. So the first one has you as an individual with a say. The second one says, no, it's the responsibility after we've removed your individual right of your government to play out whatever we've told them to do, provided that they consider their own personal and environmental issues at the time. But they still have to follow our directive.
Yeah.
And you can't say shit on an individual level. That's basically what they're saying.
Literally. And it's like, sure, remove fucking fundamental freedoms, whatever.
Yep.
Why'd they remove dignity? They're just going to spit on you while they do it.
No, because dignity is very loose. Like, I feel, indignified.
I want my dignity. They're like, no.
Dignity is very loose. It's like saying how I feel. No one cares how you fucking feel.
Fuck me. All right, fair enough. We'll take that.
This is like what do they call it? Technocracy? Technocracy? Where basically the government
TikTok. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, something. TikTok.
TikTok.
Basically, Rissy. It's basically where the government just says what it wants, does what it wants, and you on an individual or as a group of people has to just do what you're told.
Well,
it puts a big daddy and everybody else is just a child who gets told what to do. That's what basically this kind of outlines in a very not a loose way, but a very I don't know. The language being used doesn't seem threatening, but it does take away certain rights by just removing them. Mm-hmm. They're not saying you shouldn't be dignified. Mm-hmm. They're just saying we don't need that in there.
And it should make you spark the question of the intention of these people doing that.
It's just a power grab.
Literally, man.
Yeah, but on a global level.
Yes,
on a global level.
Exactly. A legally binding power grab. Again, all right, so again, not democratically elected, sure, but in saying that, none of my governments actually want or care about.
You know what I'm surprised about? Just so far hearing this, I can't believe the major players that usually push for these worldwide kind of pacts or agreements or whatever, like America, Russia, Israel, China. Why wouldn't pass this and just not ratify it? Just like they did with the ICC and the International Criminal Court. the International Criminal Court and the ICJ, they all pushed for it.
Yeah.
When everyone signed up to it, they're the only ones that didn't sign up to it.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that this thing, so far, based on what you've read out, how it failed. And there was no pushback from the public. No one even knew it was happening.
No one knew this is happening.
And they still didn't go through. So there's something in that wording, there's something in that agreement that had everybody saying that we don't all
exactly.
want to be part of
this isn't cancelled, but it's basically they've just like made it a carcass of what it is.
Yes.
And they're essentially, you're right, they're gonna keep trying.
They'll just keep on modifying different words. That's
exactly. So at the least, we just need to raise awareness and to be honest, get angry. I feel like we're so, what's the term? Not commodified, but sedated.
Yeah, we are
you know
sedated.
What I mean? We're literally sedated. People are just getting high and just playing games.
Waterboarding us with
porn,
porn,
like everything. Yeah,
and all sorts of
Instagram,
stuff.
Asian
and war.
AI chicks. Like,
look, it's war or sex.
Yeah.
You keep those two things out there in the media, and guess what happens? Nobody's got time for anything else.
Yeah, that's well said.
Because that's why there's like a butt cheek on TikTok, and then a lion.
Yep.
And then another side view of someone twerking, and then a gorilla playing with his little baby. Why is this aggression versus? And then there's like something about someone punching someone in the public for no reason.
It just grabs you. It's just going to grab
sex
you.
And violence, and violence,
and
waterboarding.
It puts us in a state of receptive info that like people forget they have the agency to move. Like, and this is like a massive moment for me personally, where I was really sad that this was happening. And I felt like the end is here. And for the first time, I've genuinely felt hope. Like, I actually felt hope. And for the first time, we can see this monster that we think runs the world, they're not as strong as we think. They actually have fucking chinks in their armor.
Well, no, you got to understand that it's not all the same leaders all the time. Leaders constantly change. So when you have like the World Health Organization pushing through a vote like this, the wording is very important because it needs to provide legal cover for anyone involved in that agreement, whether it's past, present, or future. So that's probably why it failed, and it had nothing to do with our personal awareness of it.
I think it did, man.
And I think it's for that reason.
Even if you're wrong, so literally false, metaphorically, it's true that if we believe our awareness made a difference, it is more likely to make a difference.
It would.
Whether you're right or wrong,
but
you're wrong.
I'm just saying, regardless of our involvement in this vote that took place, that no one even knew about. And I commend you for bringing this up. I mean, it's a very, very important topic. However, I just believe that it's the reason why something like that wouldn't go through, regardless of whether we're involved or not. This is on a government level, every individual government, is only because they didn't like the wording in it.
Yeah, you're right.
It just meant that if someone in the future had to get involved on a country level, then they could be sued, or they could be imprisoned, or something could happen to them on a legal level to say, well, you were part of a law that can be used against you. And I think that's the reason why it failed.
I agree. They're not in a room like, what are the people going to think?
Because you're not just agreeing for yourself. I mean, you got whole governments and shadow governments. So whether you're Liberal, Labor, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever you are, you're still part of the same system, kind of overall on a country level, that is still pushing towards a global policy. Maybe on a domestic policies, you might differ in how you go about running the country. However, when it comes to global politics, foreign politics, do you have an overall narrative? And it doesn't matter which leader from which side pops up. So if you have a law like this from the World Health Organization and an agreement, and then this become binding, right, because of the removal of the word non-binding, right, there could be a situation where it could affect foreign policy and world politics, geopolitics. So therefore, I think it failed only because the politicians couldn't agree. And I believe, like I said, within 3 to 5 years, they will have something in place that takes away our individual rights and covers their asses legally for generations to come. And that's how they do it. And I'm telling you, sometimes I've seen this happen in politics that I've followed in our country. they'll bring up no smoking ban in 2003, or they'll start talking about GST in 1993 and bust it out in 2001. It happens regardless.
Yeah.
But it's a preparation phase, legalities, how it's going to be rolled out. All these things have to match. But once they mention it, it's going to happen at some point.
So I want to branch off into 2 points. One of them is like the cynic in me that says we kind of need to go down this path if we're going to globalize.
Yep.
But then the other one is like, I don't know, am I trying to be too much of a hero? Is it, I'm thinking out loud, like, can we not change the world through these conversations?
No.
Really? You really believe that? So
Absolutely
you're
not.
really going to just fucking roll over and just accept?
No one's saying you shouldn't struggle. I'm just going to say you got to be realistic in knowing that the struggle is perpetual.
I'm hitting points where like I'm willing to fight. Do you know what I mean?
And fighting is just another way of politics. Fighting is politics.
No, but
arguing is politics. It's all diplomacy.
Yeah, sure. But when something starts encroaching on your border, on your rights, on your physical barrier, like I'm gonna fight. So
it's natural.
As we all should. As if everyone believes they can. I don't want to sound utopian and fake, but how can we not make a difference if we all start to believe my fucking body's my right? Like
your body is your right.
Yeah. So I'm not going to let some fucking robot dog just appear and fucking throw a flamethrower at me and look, inject my deltoid and it doesn't actually stay localized in the deltoid.
You got two options. You can go with whatever the so basically I'll put it like this. You can resist or you can comply. That's the only rights you have.
Resist is more painful.
You can comply, and then that could lead you to some sort of safety and security to a degree. But when the same things that you're complying with decide that it's time for you to die, that will also happen. Mm-hmm. So that means like your government, you're like, I'm so government. They're like, we're going to war for our freedom. You go to a country, bang, they kill 80,000 of you on a beach in Gallipoli. That's complying.
Yeah.
Or you could resist and get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
But the powers that be, you've only got one of two choices when it comes to whatever it is that you either agree with them or disagree with them on, and that is to comply or to resist. But it doesn't change anything. If you're not the power broker themselves, you don't get to dictate what happens en masse. Now, you can resist. These podcasts are very important because it could change the next generation and the next generation. But ultimately, historically, this is how humanity has been since day one.
Yeah, but the people can keep the governments in check. I just think, we are living in a time, like literally today, when this happened. If you're hearing this, this is our window to actually resist.
Yep.
In the future, it's not happening. Like this, your present moment, whatever you're feeling right now, this is the window to resist.
Yep.
Because there is an AI overlord coming that's going to be watching your every fucking
even
move.
that they can't agree on. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They're trying very hard to bring in a world rule system. I'll tell you, if they all agree on a rule, the ones who set it forward are going to be the ones breaking the rules.
Of course.
It's just the way it works. Like, hey, everyone, let's all put our guns in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And everyone agrees, but the one who said that usually keeps their gun on them. I've watched movies like this, man.
Yeah.
Right.
It's called Rules for Thee, but not for me.
Yeah, 110%. Now, when you've got all their guns and you put them in the cupboard, they're like, okay, give me a glass of water. I feel like that's green olives, not the green ones, the kind of green ones. Can you go to the fridge? You go, where's our guns? It's like, I've got the gun. Nobody got the gun. All right? And I think that's what they do. They disarm everybody and they keep their arms.
Yeah.
So basically, yes, you can resist.
Yeah.
You can resist or you can, but at the end of the day, the powers that be have a set of rules that when they place them forward, and I've said this before, they're just levers and they pull them. They'll lock you in your house. One guy got tackled just taking out his wheelie bin.
Yeah, literally.
Right? Because he was 1 meter outside of the boundary of his fence to put his wheelie bin out on the grass. He got speed tackled by a SWAT team.
Yeah.
During COVID. So how much can we push? And here's the thing. Let's look at the revolution that took place in France against the aristocrats. Napoleon jumps up, and he's part of this movement, and they catch all these aristocrats, and then they chop their heads off, right? They use guillotines, right? Explicit warning.
Oh, is that the choppy thing?
Yeah, they drop that thing, and
picturing
people's heads are rolling in baskets, and people are cheering. So Napoleon and his group, they're like, yeah, now we're the rulers. And guess what they became? They just became almost dictators in their own country. It's a cycle that takes place over and over again. You're either in charge or you're not. But to resist is your human right to do so.
Yeah, of course.
Resist anyway. If something's not right, you need to speak up. You need to do something about it.
And that's what was lost in COVID, was the ability to speak up as well.
Well, a lot of people, I mean, like yourself, spoke up.
Well, and that's why these podcasts in my heart feel like a rebellion against this new world where you cannot speak your mind. You know what I noticed? I noticed that noticing has becoming like a forbidden art.
Yep.
You're not allowed to notice anymore.
No, you know what? I'll tell you something. Look, this whole podcast generation that's popped up now, bringing news, facts that the mainstream media, legacy media,
Dinosaur.
Those guys have a narrative because they're funded. They got their own lobbyists. They got their own government, CIA, FBI, whether it would be anyone, right? They're paying them to stay employed. Big pharma, military, whatever. So they're always going to have a very similar narrative because the same people that are paying one news organization is paying the other. Now, so what happens? As a pushback, a whole bunch of podcasts pop up and alternative media sources pop up and they start telling facts. Would have been great if everybody rallied around them when they started popping up. It didn't. All it did was it took the truth, put it out there with the lie, and now everyone's like, because there's so much of this, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then government's now flying under the radar.
Yeah.
So it actually, they weaponized the weapon that was being used to expose them. They're like, well, because there's so much of it, it's created the confusion. Now we can push through World Health Organization votes that no one even hears about.
Yeah, but that's why, and people should be gravitating to, and I want to try to say this with humility, podcasts like this, that we're giving more signal than just making noise.
Well, we're on the ground. We're ground zero, to be honest. We're the people that get ultimately affected by the ripple. A law comes out here, in the end, I'm wondering why there's less money in my bank account.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we feel it. We're at the end of that harmonic, right? So basically we get it the hardest. So we see it. We're just telling it from our point of view. I believe that these things that are happening when it comes to legacy media versus alternative media is just created a smokescreen. And the more of it there is, the worse it gets because there's more confusion.
Yeah.
And you know,
Sorry.
I've seen this in the Daily Wire. I don't know if you've seen this recently.
I've stopped. Like,
well,
I can't.
I'll just tell you what happens with them. They sit there and speak conservative, all America, all America, all America. And then the Israel thing pops up.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden, their policies change about what rights are.
Free speech.
Free speech. What genocide should mean.
Like the Overton window.
Overton windows, blah, blah, blah. They start using all this talk. And then it's like, well, you've been following these people for maybe 10 years or 5 years since their inception and agreed with all their policies until it hit home. Once it hit home, you realized the rules changed.
Yeah, and everyone's an emotional human.
Right, so if you're sticking to one alternative source of your information or one podcast, don't be surprised that you can agree with them for 3-4 years and then find yourself highly disagreeing with a lot of things that they feel going forward. However, I'll promise you, whenever I'm on here with you, Bill, I'm just going to tell it the way I see it.
Yeah, good.
Resistance is an innate human right. Keep resisting. I'll resist for different things and you resist for different things. But at the end of the day, the need to push back and say, hold on, either I'm on board or I'm against this, convince me, is very important.
I think a part of the problem is, and whether you're religious or not, the following should still be agreeable. With the loss of religion, we also lost the collective narrative that we have. So now we have all these fragmented narratives. We don't have like a unifying story. Everyone's in their own echo chamber algorithm bubble.
Yep.
And now we can't actually collectively agree on something, which includes collective resistance.
And that's the perfect thing for big governments.
Exactly.
Because there's so much smoke out there. They can get whatever they want done on a global level. There's literally a genocide taking place in the Middle East right now. And I'm so surprised at so much news sources saying that it's a genocide and the rest trying to excuse it. But it's still happening. Nothing's changed. And no one's actually doing anything. I mean, the protests, I've got to commend the protests. They did make enough noise, but a couple of laws and a couple of SWAT teams. And they were quickly put down. And that was something on a global level and even on a human individual level was very important to everyone. No one has the right to come in and encroach or to destroy another person's ability to live and to life. Right? And the right to life. Yet it's happening in real time on every form of media. And there's nothing en masse that's changing that.
Exactly.
So this is why I say to you, the powers that be will usually get their way. But to resist, it's not just your right, it's your obligation. If something's wrong, call it wrong, but that process is perpetual. There's always going to be a new enemy, a new situation, a new problem. It's going to require new resistances and a new fight. Because that's the way human beings are. Be realistic. You're fighting now. The next cause might not be something you believe in or embrace. You might not fight, but there'll be others that will. And they'll resist and they'll push back. So it's part of the way human beings are structured. We're in a constant turmoil, a constant struggle, left to right, you know, and right now things are wrong that we're against. Then in the future, things that may be wrong to someone else might not be important. But always, the idea is push back, speak the truth, and just do your best, man.
That's what they did during COVID was they were able to filter out the people who were willing to say, hey, that's wrong. That's not right.
Absolutely.
And they've essentially pushed the people willing to say something to the fringes where you weren't allowed to get a coffee anymore. Remember that? You know?
But you know what it is though? You know, I mean, I want to hear your opinion on this. Democracy, human rights, equality, all right? Your right to self-determination, your body, your choice. That was the narrative for since the fall of the Soviet Union. Right? 1991. America jumped out and said, we believe in human rights, democracy, liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of driving a car if you're a female in Saudi Arabia, all that stuff. In the last couple of years, don't you feel like it was kind of like, it was a nice story, but when push came to shove, it's all a bunch of bullshit. And there's no such thing. When they want to, they'll lock you in your home. When they want to, a genocide will take place and they'll be like, well, you know, it's apples and apples.
Well, so
they're using arguments.
I want your opinion on this because that was the second point I wanted to make. Earlier I said we'll diverge. Was the cynic in me says because we're globalizing, we do we need to start like does it make sense to start globalizing and removing people's rights? Like otherwise you have anarchy if you don't have a
globalization will never happen.
It's happening.
No. There is interests that can gain something out of the idea of globalization, but globalization can never take place because of the diversity of societies
We've touched
around
on
the world.
this.
It's impossible. I mean, if there was 4 people on earth, Adam, Eve, Cain and Abel, based on the Abrahamic belief system, theology, and out of 4 people, 2 of them couldn't even agree on something, and one had to bash the other guy's head in with a rock. You got to tell me when you got 8 billion people over 1,000 societies, and belief systems, and that they're going to globalize anything.
No, but that's to the point of disenfranchise them to the point they don't have any agency,
Well,
and therefore you're the bringer of
I'm
light.
going to give you the classic example of how they can't. You. Everything they tell you, you're skeptical.
Yeah.
Everything they try to push on you, you're like, hold on a sec. Bro, there's about 3 billion people like that out there.
Yeah.
As long as you got that.
Nah, but everyone's will can be broken. You can break everyone's mind.
You know, I tell you, you can't break it, but you can kill them.
Oh,
that's what they're doing in Israel and Gaza,
no,
right?
that's what they've. So there was an assassination attempt on the Slovakian prime minister.
I've seen that. No, it was actually tried to assassinate, shot him.
Yeah, attempt.
Well,
yeah,
they
but he
stabbed him or
survived.
something.
He's stable now.
Yeah.
But this happened, and the following might be conspiratorial. So supposedly he's been very, very verbal about his resistance against the World Health Organization. His disagreement with it. His like fundamental.
And they showed him
right
what
for
real
freedom.
health looks like.
Exactly
They
right.
made him appreciate his health.
Exactly. So there was a video coming out of him talking against it, which supposedly was he got shot 3 days after that. But then I looked up PolitiFact, which I didn't trust during COVID, but nevertheless, it's an alternative source. They said that video is actually from November last year. I don't think that makes a difference. The point still stands that this happens. World Health Organization's bill doesn't pass on the 27th of May. Simultaneously, if you noticed, if that would have passed, it would have flowed perfectly into this bird influenza situation.
That's right. Eggs, man. Eggs are going up.
Exactly. So
I'm eating only 2 boiled eggs now, not 13
Isn't that
every
funny? Like it would have been perfect that they passed this bill and then the bird flu happens, but because it got pushed back, the story's a bit stagnant.
I think somebody had a plan.
Someone had a plan,
and something fell down, which was the vote.
Yes,
but the actual influenza shit fell out.
They're
It came out anyway.
Fuck it, let's just keep going. This is the plan.
But I don't think they could have stopped it because they're supposed to time it perfectly. You just gave us these rights, and look,
literally,
let us save you.
Exactly. You know,
if you want
that's
eggs,
a risk that might influence public health. Therefore, let's fucking shut the world down.
Yep, they could have. They could have done that. I mean, but you know, they could have at least made everyone have HIV eye drops. Look, we don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, for 35 years of my life, the doctor would say, "Oh, it's a virus. Oh, it's a flu." He never gave me a designated name for shit.
Yeah.
Come COVID, all of a sudden H1F2 LP
SARS-CoV-14.
Now there's a one called Flirt. It flirts with you. I cop Flirt about a month ago. Yeah, the new Flirt KP1, right, is a variant of Omicron, whatever his name is from fucking the Transformers. All right. Now check this out, right? This one flirts with you. So it started off with body pains for 2 days. I was like, fuck, why am I sore? My bones, muscles, everything. But then it went away. Then my nose started dripping. Kind of flirting with me. Right?
Like, where are you?
So now I've got a runny nose. Then I'm like, oh, it stopped today. It's a bit dry. Good. I started coughing 2 days. And then in the same 2 days, bit of pain, bit of coughing, bit of sniffles, bit of this, bit of that throughout 2 days. So that's called the flirt.
Oh, shit.
If you get it, it just flirts with you. You don't know what you're going to get. But it's kind of like, I want you, but do I? Like, come.
Look at me, but for not too
Like,
long.
I might have showed you my ear, but then I showed you my earring, like my piercing. I didn't show you that. Like, I'm flirting with you. Like, I might have not let you touch me, but smiled at you. But then I might have touched you and frowned at you. It's flirting. It's flirting. Be careful of flirt.
Yeah, you got to sit in that space of ambiguity.
Yeah, so that's been busted out. And then they wanted to hit us with eggs and chickens, right? And then someone said no.
Yeah, and
And they're like, shit, we set this up a month ago.
And then they fucking shot him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's just the way the world works. But yeah,
just to actually be wary that we're not actually pushing misinformation, because it is real.
it's bill information.
It's bill information. There's no real evidence to suggest that there is, like, they've done it because of this thing. Although they did ask I think it was like a 70-year-old man, the shooter,
Yep.
why did you do this? And essentially he said, I don't agree with his policies, but he didn't specify which one.
Of course not.
So you'd think that if it wasn't something related to this, he'd say, I don't like his thing on gun control, or, something to get his message out.
Yep.
But there was ambiguity and just a haze around his reason for doing it as well.
Yeah.
So that alone kind of...
Well, by the way, I mean, that's still all tied into world politics and the World Health Organization failing, and I bet you didn't even know that was happening.
Exactly. So
Big
pay
vote,
attention.
it affects every individual in the world, every government, and no one even knew it was happening. But what we do know is that there is a genocide in Gaza,
Exactly.
and in Palestine in general, all right, occupied territories. However, that's kind of covering a whole bunch of other stuff that's going in under the radar. So I'd say when the news pushes your attention towards one thing, step back and see what they don't want you to see.
Yeah, and the thing with the Palestine-Israel, which I want to, we'll wrap this up before we dive too deep into that. But a lot of that was, you can notice when you're, as you're saying now, step back, but try step back when you notice yourself charged. Like, I don't usually post much. I wasn't. But every time I'd see something like that, like I felt obligated to post.
You need to, every time you've got an angle and a belief system that you really believe in, and you've got a conviction on that. You should be, every time you get an idea on these particular subjects. How's your X? Have you been on X?
No, I don't have.
Bro, you should have, because you know those ideas need to be logged somewhere.
Yeah, okay. Well, on here,
it's part of the same narrative.
But the thing with X is, the problem with it is, it's designed to do what you're talking against, which is, you see something, you emotively respond instantly. The fact that you can't put X amount of characters in there means it's created so that you respond quickly, emotionally, and you get it out. And therefore, it creates engagement, emotional engagement. But X is actually designed to not make you step back and say, maybe I'll comment on this in a week. Whereas the podcast, we were meant to talk about this 2 weeks ago, but obviously you copped the Omni.
Flirt.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had time to think about it more, as opposed to if I'm on X, I'm gonna say shit I regret.
You never regret anything, because
100%. If
I'll
you
tell you
come
right
from
now,
an emotional
it is true. Yeah, if it's true to you right now, that's how you were at that time and space.
But the internet,
you know what I mean?
Internet, the publishing captures moments like it's still present. Even if it's not.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so that's, I'm not disagreeing. I personally, I kind of want to stay
just
away from
just be ambiguous.
Yeah.
So you can't be tied down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like World Health Organization.
We love them.
No, we love what you do, but I'm a little suspicious.
Yes.
Right? It's ambiguous.
But we love them.
What are you up to now? Why is everyone meeting from all around the world to vote on our rights?
Yes.
Could it be that you care that much?
Yes.
That's ambiguous.
Or is the World Health Organization 80% funded by private organizations, which, if you follow the paper trail, is literally fucking Pharma and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation,
who care about
everybody.
Yes,
who
especially
also might have been
Africans.
making a bit. Yes, bro.
Especially Africans, they love them.
They love
They
them.
just like take photos with them with an injection.
All right, let's.
And I believe that they're going to make the eye drops for HIV airborne.
I think you're on it.
In Africa first.
You've predicted many. I think that's next. Let's. There's only one more here, so we'll wrap this and then move into the next. But it's more to the point of everything. Article 11, exchange of information. For this purpose, who shall facilitate the exchange of information between state parties and ensure the event information, blah, 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 focal points offers a secure and reliable platform for information exchange among who and state parties, blah, blah, blah. So next point, who determines it is necessary that such information be made available to other state parties? And then the other one, who shall consult with, inform the state parties in whose territory the event is occurring, its intent to make information available. So
when you say who, you mean World Health
Organization.
Okay,
and
because every time you said who in those last four items, I'm like, I thought they were asking a question in that document.
Sorry.
The World Health Organization is when he says the word who.
So what that's essentially saying is our government, again, who we've elected, cannot even discuss with other governments. So instead of information going from here to there, we now need to go to
World Health Organization,
our Lord and Savior,
and they will tell the relevant parties.
And they have said in their document they will choose if they tell relevant parties as well. So everything is an information battle happening right now. I think more importantly, everything is a.
Well, that allows for weaponization.
Yes.
No, let's just say Nicaragua decides it wants to release a pathogen.
What's that?
In Cuba.
Okay.
That destroys all their tobacco for their cigars, but can affect humans. The World Health Organization can choose to tell Cuba whether or not it was Nicaragua who released it in their country.
They've also
All information goes to them, and then they will distribute it how they see fit.
So
thank you, Daddy.
No, literally, thanks, Daddy. Who's your daddy?
Yep, that's basically who is your daddy. It's a good one. I can't believe I didn't make it up.
You know what? I'm gonna take credit for it. It's
That was very good. Very good.
That was what Bret named his podcast on it.
Well, who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
World Health Organization's your daddy. Well, there you go.
We're stealing
Shout
it.
out.
We're stealing it.
Yeah.
So both information exchange, but I didn't extract it myself, but they also said they can literally move products as well. So they can literally move products globally where they want. The other one I read, but I don't have it in front of me, but this is true. They can tell your government when to manufacture what. So literally our tax money that we're putting into our government,
they get to control it.
They literally get to control it and say to our government, and I don't know if anyone noticed, there's a lot of like vaccine centers that are being built as well. So it's all
well, obviously there's some big players behind this drive.
It's like,
but there is other players that are like, don't wreck my oil industry, don't wreck my car industry. So I think that's the struggle you see why this vote didn't go through now. Not everybody gets the benefit that's important enough yet.
Correct, yeah.
But they'll come around.
They will come around. We just still need to fight the good fight. And then
absolutely.
I think another point as well is like, how do you think, because it's such a paradox, the idea that those who don't want to seek power are probably the ones that should be in power and lead us. And then those who are hungry for power are probably the ones that should not be leading us, but they end up gaming this system that puts them in a position of power by stepping on other people's necks to get there.
Well, it's a bit hard because he did say it's paradoxical. And in my opinion, well, if someone wants to cut grass, the best thing to do is not put them in a working at a fish shop. Let them cut grass. The people who go for power. But those people come from people and they're around people.
But
there is a balance.
But they're psychopathic though. These people.
You'd have to have some sort of that kind of underlying personality.
Like they have this just assumption, but they have this like cognitive empathy. But they don't have like an embodied empathy. So they
don't feel it. They think it.
Feel it. But these type of people, they can mentally process what you're processing and then use that against you.
Yeah, of course. Like or weaponize it.
So there's
exploit it.
There's an empathy that comes from feeling what someone's feeling. But there's an empathy that comes
that's a
from
weakness.
No, it's not, bro. Don't say
that.
No,
but that would be a weakness in power.
Yes.
Because to them, they're like, I know what you're feeling now. I know how to exploit it to my advantage. But we go, I feel bad for you. How can I help?
Exactly. So you're right.
So it's a weakness when it comes to trying to drive for power. Bro. Psychos don't like that shit.
Okay.
If they get a feeling, they'll have a cold shower. Like, what am I feeling?
What is this?
This is rubbish. But yuck.
I hate that you're bang on.
Yeah.
Because yes, in this context, empathy is weakness when, if you care about the other person and they're just trying to game you, basically. Do you see a solution to this?
Look, the world has become so interconnected on a psychological level that we all have an opinion. But whether you have an opinion or not, there's still nothing you can really do about it.
You heard it here first.
So
give up.
The psychos are the ones that'll be like, oh, there's a revolution that I don't agree with, but it's a good chance for me to gain power.
There's a vacuum, yeah.
So I'm going to ride that revolution, knock out all the players, and take over this wave. Whereas us normal people, unfortunately,
normies,
we are good for people. Yeah. And, just keep doing the right thing. Look after those around you. Be the best person you can possibly be in your life.
By example as well.
Well, that is an example. When you get the most out of yourself, your day, you're literally the leading of an example. However, when it comes to power and politics, that's exploitable too. A whole bunch of strong men get convinced to play along with something that's practically evil. Yeah. They don't even know they're part of it because that's what those people that go for power, these psychos, know how to do. They know how to band a lot of good and bad players around them, all believing in a cause that they personally might not even believe in. It's just convenient.
Yeah.
So when it comes to power, what do you do? Well, once again, I take it back to you either comply or defy. However, to try and combat a psycho or a power hungry sycophant or something like this, you would lose because that's their natural habitat.
Yeah. Yep.
The only way to disarm them is to not give them an institution to take over.
Yeah.
And that's impossible because we need those same institutions. So although their pros and cons go against humanity, they're a necessary evil.
Yeah. No.
Well, think about, tell me, any great bloke politically, Churchill, you want Churchill?
I don't know much about him. I just hear the name.
He carpet bombed a whole city firebombed Dresden
I don't know what
during World War II. He didn't even hit military targets. He was just bombing, and he's a hero. Right? He's a necessary evil. Now when we look back, we're like, ugh. Dude, I think he went a little bit, I think it was slightly excessive, to be honest. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you know, everyone's like, JFK. But they were napalming Vietnamese people in Vietnam.
Errors were made.
So you reckon that was a miscalculation? There's necessary evils, but guess what? Guess who benefited? The people who believed in the American dream and the white picket fence. And I go to work and do a solid day's work, come home and she's making sweet cherry pie. She's got it on the ledge and a little kid dreaming and it's got a little fucking
got a little doggy
that red fucking thing over it that's got the fucking stripes that now people wear as jumpers and jackets and shit.
Yes.
It's got it over it with a little, like a band across the side. And he comes home, she's like, honey, I'm home. And she runs over and she's like, she's got an apron on, cleaning her hair.
Pie.
They benefited.
Not the little Vietnamese child.
Not the Viet Cong. So that's what I'm trying to say to you is there's necessary evils and every society has its people, its sympathetics, its empathetic people, its helpers, its worker class, and its fucking psychos.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
They're necessary evils. And now if you want to think, give me a time when there wasn't one. Adam, Eve, and Satan. In Arabic, Iblis. Now, God's like, big on. And he's like, oh, let me hang around for a bit. I'm a necessary evil. He's like, yeah, you're right. You're a necessary evil. Let him hang around.
No, but as I understood, the necessary, not the necessary evil, but the evil of the devil is the devil of comparison. So in the story, correct me where I'm wrong. Tell me.
No, in the story, there's three people: Adam, Eve, and the devil.
Yeah, and then the devil says,
forget about what he says. Reality is he was evil. He was going to take two people who are in the perfect state out of that perfect state. So he convinces them by saying, hey, there's a tree of knowledge. God doesn't want you to have it so you don't end up being a God like him. So he works on their fear. He exploits them. They eat the apple, right?
But
and then God's like, why'd you eat the apple? Why'd you go to the tree?
Didn't God say if you eat from the apple, something kind of bad will happen? Or am I mistaken there?
He just said, eat from whatever you want. Just don't go near that tree.
And with a reason or no reason?
No reason.
Okay, all right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, the devil's like, hey. Oh, no, he says, yeah, or you'll be from those in darkness. He says, in the actual text. Yeah. Or you'll be of those of that. But the devil said that he's just trying to keep you away from being powerful and immortal because you're going to die.
Yeah.
So he used their fear and exploited them. Now, what does he do? He gets them to eat the goddamn apple. Now, let me tell you something. That devil did not eat the apple. Why did he get cast onto earth with them as their enemy until the day of judgment?
For duality?
No, because he's a necessary evil. Okay. Just like the gods of Olympus in the Greek mythology were trying to keep fire away from man.
Yeah.
And then, can't remember which god it was. Anyway, the one that did.
Cool noise.
He brought it down and gave it to him, and then they imprisoned him, right? Because of that, because they were like, well, now they're going to have too much power as humans. Once again, that fire in the God's eyes was bad based on that mythology, but it was eventually by one of the gods deemed as a necessary evil.
It's necessary in the context that we might have touched on this before, but you need the psychopath when you go on the tribal rage. You need the crazy man that's able to kill.
Yep.
But you don't want him.
You need to pick me. You need to pick me.
You don't want him in charge, though.
Oh, he can lead from the rear. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
No, but my point is like,
haven't you seen the APAC lobby in America? No. They tell the whole government what to do, but they're not the government.
No, I haven't seen
APAC. You haven't heard of APAC?
No idea.
They're the lobbyists that put money in the pockets of all the senators and all the
like some Israeli fucking.
Well, it's called American and Israeli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
I did hear something. Yeah.
So they're the lobbyists.
It's like X amount.
They spend like $100 million a year putting money in senators and House representative pockets. Yeah. And pretty much they don't need to lead from the front. They lead from the back. But that's not to say that they're bad or good. That's just how they're leading from the rear.
Yeah.
Right? So that happens all the time.
Yep.
To have an actual leader who stands up and says things that aren't actually his ideas. He's just doing what he's told.
Yeah.
Like Biden. He pooped his fucking pants.
That's hilarious, man. No,
in France.
We don't know that, but...
Well, his missus was like...
No, we don't know that.
Macron has got a huge nose. Have you seen the nose on Macron? He can smell that shit.
Yeah, no.
We don't know if he shat himself. We don't know
if he shat himself.
But he looked like he was... he really needed to push that out.
Is that the... Wait, there's two videos.
One is bending over going...
Is it? Is it where he's sitting?
No,
there's another way he's standing. It's just like
he's just kind of leaning over.
I saw a comment.
I think he tried to fart. To be honest with you,
I saw the comments like, it's like I have 5 children. I know what that stance is, and this guy's just like he's
just keening over slightly. His missus like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop that! Don't try to fart in public again." Did we? We spoke about this. Your stools are loose. Your stools are loose. And he. Poof. That would have been misty.
We don't know if that happened. But
look,
honestly,
it's called Poopgate.
All right, but anyway, let's not dive too deep into Biden.
But I'm just saying that psychopaths, you're saying, do they need to lead? It's like, well, they will lead whether you know about it or not.
Yeah. No, you're right.
They don't have that issue where they have their ups and downs about how they feel. Generally, the ones that become leaders,
like CEOs and stuff,
they don't have that emotional issue where the things that slow your day down, that get you on an emotional level, they don't have that issue.
I understand, yeah, exactly.
It's like they're on coke.
But that's why these CEOs are, like, from a business disembodied perspective, efficient, but from a human level, fuck that. Like, I've been in corporate companies, and the coldness of it is something that, like, my soul was just screaming for me to get out.
110%.
And that's the best decision I've done. It's not for me, yeah. And to get to the top, you can feel the triangle. You can feel it get tighter as you go up.
100%.
You know what I mean? And but like everything to some degree is a pyramid. But this moment of like, I'll step on your head to get to the next part.
110%.
I was suffocating. So
man, I've worked in companies that have got 140, 180 employees on the tools, and the politics that happened through that joint, through this company, apparently is normal for any organization that has more than 3 people.
Yeah. No,
like it's literally like if there's got 6 workers at McDonald's,
but
there's going to be politics.
But naturally, there is, at the end of the day, one position on top which we're all working to. So naturally, there's going to be that. But you can still create a culture that's like let's let the most competent person be there, but the one who's also willing to bring other people up as well. You don't need to step on each other's heads.
You need to have a lot of examples of how that's happened. Because I mean, you got a lot of examples of the first example you gave.
Like psychopaths.
Psychopaths, hey, they can sniff each other out too.
Well, yeah.
They bring up psychopaths, or they get rid of them.
There was a study, and this is, do your own research.
By the way, everything we said here today is just called...
subjective experience.
No.
Opinion. Oh, billion...
It's Bill information.
All right.
Okay, it's Bill information, all right? According to Bill.
Yeah, according to Bill.
Or 2 bills.
According to Bill. But pretty much, no, I actually read this in a book. Psychopaths, or like aggressive men that lean towards the dark triad of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, these like bad men, basically, they can pick out a female victim by the way she walks. And they were all able to like relatively come to the same conclusion of who their victim will be
Yep.
just by the way she carried herself.
Yeah.
So there's something actually happening when they do that.
The human mind is a vast. It's an iceberg. It's literally an iceberg. We only see the tip.
Yeah.
How people are comprised inside the way their mind and their personality interacts with the rest of the world is phenomenal. I think it's a infinity study.
Yeah.
It's a study that we'll be studying for infinity because the variations are limitless.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get narcissist who's good. What did he do? Oh, he built 50 churches. The next narcissist came up. He turned them into an army.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just don't know.
You gotta hone it. We all if you have a name, you have an ego. So
Yeah.
to some degree, you're narcissistic in the story of yourself.
Look, and we don't even know what triggers different responses in different minds. This is why we should one day do a mind or a personality to spirit kind of see if we can connect how this happens because the brain's a brain, right? And personality develops over experience. But what makes one person who sees their mum getting beaten, let's just say, for example,
Yes.
become a health worker?
Yes.
And the other one who just had his dad fart while he was eating sweet American pie turned him into a psycho killer. This is possible. But when your dad was beating his mum, it was like, you deserved that. You had it coming.
That's a beautiful point. I know what you mean.
Like, we don't know why this. Yeah. There must be something else that's like, I just need a fart. There's another one's like, no, I need to see something extreme to be really good. But I'm looking to be really good. There's got to be another level to the personality and how it develops.
Yeah.
That chooses what experiences get to represent it best, But
Well
anyway,
said.
that's obviously a
that's
conversation
beautiful.
for something
No,
else.
but seriously, stay tuned for Bill information.
I'm going to do my homework on that.
We're going to do homework, and we're going to if come with us, and we'll actually find out where we land on that one because that's I think a beautiful one. Another one. So if with the Palestine-Israel situation, did you notice it's like this weird thing happening? There's a few weird things happening. Yeah.
Yep.
Islam is like, it's almost becoming trendy to some degree.
Yep.
But there's this weird thing happening where I feel like the world, everything's becoming a meme, yeah? When I say meme, I mean the complexity of a topic gets reduced to one thing.
Yep.
So we've got a very reductionist point of view where we turn complicated things into simple things. So what's happening now is we've got Muslims who are oppressed in Palestine, but now because of that, you've got other people who think they're oppressed because their gender identity isn't being heard.
Right.
Now saying, hey, we're a part of the same oppressed group.
Yep.
And you've got this funny, like, intersectional car crash where you've got, like, trans for Palestine
It's just
situations
hijacking a commonality.
of oppression.
You find something which is oppression, and you say, well, if you're oppressed, I'm oppressed. That's relative.
Yeah.
And that's why you're seeing it happening. You'll see someone who's like we discussed the other time, a moon wolf tree.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
That guy's like, well, no one gets me, and all he needs is I feel oppressed because of that. And then hundreds of thousands of people are being moved from one section to another in such a tiny spot called Palestine or Gaza, and he's like, I can relate to that.
Yeah. I'm going to jump on this.
Oppression's oppression. So it's a hijacking. It's a hijacking. Look, some causes can stand alone in their oppression or in their fight or in their belief. Others are not derivatives, but they're kind of like valency shell electrons. And they kind of jump on.
Yeah.
And they ride a legitimate thing because it has a total representation of their plight.
Yeah.
So you have the LGBTQ as a percentage, or whatever the identified community,
Alphabet.
the unidentified flying human beings.
Yeah.
Those guys,
The LGTVs.
as a standalone, they can make noise, but they're not large enough or concentrated enough to have the same shared oppressed experience.
Yeah.
But then you go and see something happening in Ukraine, or you see something happening in Russia, or you see something happening in Gaza and Israel or South Lebanon. And you're like, well, is a platform for me now. It's kind of like a megaphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Where now I can actually talk about that and then tie it in to my personal story of oppression.
Yeah, but and
it's a hijacking.
Well, it is a hijack because at the moment the way the world works is there's like an oppression matrix, and if you're at the top of that, you're allowed to control people the most.
You can even get bank loans.
You can get probably
you
like
can say, "Hey, I'm impressed.
well,
I need a bank loan."
You can literally now control the speech.
Yep.
You can and if you're controlling the speech, you're controlling the thought,
everything.
And therefore you're controlling the person, and you're controlling reality. Literally everything.
Absolutely.
So they're hijacking it, and it's literally, it's just ultimately, in my opinion, it comes from, and this is what's like what I'm trying to be conscious of is, it pisses me off, not pisses me off, but like it makes me uncomfortable that they're clumping the two because I have such a negative view towards, not negative, but like when I see all the LGBT things and I'm like, fuck, that's your personality.
Yep.
Like that's your sexuality. Not even that, like your sexual identity. That's who you are. It's fucking pathetic.
Look, I don't agree.
With what I'm saying?
I don't agree with the pathetic part.
Wait, yeah, please. And
as individuals, I believe everyone has the right to feel and be the way they like.
Can I interject as we go, just to make sure? Do you think I'm saying they can't?
No, I think that I just don't want you to be misunderstood because I get you.
Yeah.
However, if we don't kind of solidify
definitions,
the definitions of what you're trying to say. So what I'll do is I'll say how I feel based on what you just said. I'll give you time to maybe readjust the parts that you might notice. That
what did you hear me say just then? Yeah.
Because
what do you disagree
they
with?
believe the LGBTQ community, the unidentified flying human beings, all that, right? They believe in their problem. Now, I'm not part of their problem.
Okay.
Right. And when I look at it from the outside, I feel like they're alien to me. And they would feel like I'm alien to them. However, on a human level, I understand that they believe in what they're involved in and where they feel oppressed. And if they're going to make noise about it, or they want to have certain rights, or they want to have certain recognition, that's a human thing.
But
now when they jump and they clump it with Palestine,
but even before that, like I agree with that. But for what? Recognition for what? Like, what am I meant to?
They want to be recognized.
What am I meant to clap for?
Exactly, and so
and that's when I say pathetic. Like just to thank you for saying.
No, but I was going to come back to the word pathetic. So if you let me finish that,
sorry,
I was going to say yes, they've got that right. However, when they want to enter politics, when they want to enter society with this idea, Palestine can't even get its land back. How much of a chance do you think you're going to be accepted?
And your feelings are hurt,
right? If you feel for humans, feel for humans. But if you're going to enter politics, you're going to enter societies, and you want to enforce or get your recognition or do whatever it is, you're going to get pushback. And it does seem a bit pathetic because when you see lines that are joinable, the other group will be like, we don't really need your help. We can stand alone.
And
No, I mean, like, think about Palestinians. Whether or not there was LGBTQ support, or whether there was college student support, or anything, does that change what they're going through and the resistance that they're putting in there to try and stay on their land and stay as a people of Palestine? Doesn't change anything. It's a standalone cause.
And there's memes about it, which it is ironic. It's like, do you know what would happen if you were there? Like they don't support you.
And no one cares about that either. I mean, like, how do we know?
But we kind of do know.
Well, the same people that are lying about Benjamin Netanyahu not knowing about the attack and that Palestine, a whole bunch of terrorists. Are the same people that are telling us that they will, if you were an LGBTQ
we know this, Bill. What are you talking about? We know this. We come from the same culture. What are you talking about?
Absolutely not.
Yes, we do.
Tell me something. How many people do you know that has had anything bad happen to them, that has chosen to be anything other than heterosexual?
All right, so we're obviously in a new but this
no,
is
no.
Hold on.
I'm gonna give you examples. I've got receipts.
All I'm saying is we're obviously Muslim and we're in, but we don't realize how much we're secularly influenced by the Western culture as well.
Okay.
So, and we do have our community,
Yeah.
but we don't actually understand the influence that it has on our perception.
Okay.
So I'm accepting, you're relatively accepting as well.
Look, I'll tell you this.
But
you want to say that Muslims in the Muslim world go around looking,
no, that's not what I'm saying.
and then they hurt them, or they
That's
don't let
not
them
what
live?
I'm saying. No, but
So
I'm
how would they? How would the
but there
LGBTQ
isn't an
fare in Palestine?
There is not an acceptance of homosexuality. Let's not
Absolutely not.
exactly. Let's not pretend there is.
There
And that's the point I'm making.
No, and that's not even here. That's not even here.
What do you mean the acceptance?
No,
here?
not
exactly.
even here.
That's my point.
Every 2 woman and man, on a 98% average, if they see their son come out anything other than heterosexual, they have a problem on their hands.
Yeah.
So then, therefore, we might say that somehow 51% of Australia voted for marriage and gay rights or whatever.
Yep.
If you ask 100 people in your life, they'll all tell you, rack off.
But that's a different story. That's sorry. Can I just say?
So what I'm
that's different though, because the gay marriage thing was an encroachment on the religious system. Like marriage is a religious system, and that's where a lot of people said, "I don't support you guys bringing that into our religious institute." And now you need to force us to marry same-sex people.
Right.
You're coming into our religious
Same
space.
people who bought you COVID vaccines.
Yes. So that's a different story, is what I'm trying to say.
It's the same people.
So I can see why.
I'll tell you right now,
were against
there's a
that,
lot of gay people and there's a lot of cross-dressers in the Muslim world.
Yeah.
They just don't stick their necks out so their heads can get taken off.
But bro,
That's all. But if you were to rock
why
up...
are you taking the head off?
If you're going to rock up as just Ahmed, no one gives a shit.
But why are you taking the head off is the point.
No. You're taking that literal. It was
symbolically, why are you taking the head off?
I'll tell you right now, if I stick a Rolex out in the hood, I'll probably get my wrist taken off.
That's different.
It's the same shit. If you're flashing it, you must not want it. That's what I say. Okay? In the Muslim world, there are gays, there are cross-dressers, there are people who were born a man and felt like a woman. There's people that are like, I relate more to wolves and trees.
Yes.
But they just don't talk about it.
All right.
And if they did, yes, they get a lot of pushback. And here was no different 30 years ago. And I'll tell you, in 30 years, it will be exactly the same as it was 30 years ago.
But so you're drawing no link to a more secular world.
It's not secular at all, brother.
We are here more secular, government-wise. What do you mean?
No.
How are we disagreeing so hard?
It's because
You're telling me we're not living in Australia, a more secularized government, as opposed to a more religiously influenced government like Iran. Are you making that claim right now?
I'm making the claim that you've only ever seen 30 to 40 years of this new flavor that's popped up. But 7.5 to 8,500 years prove generally it's not secular. So just because we had a little that has popped up, a little heat wave that's come through, don't believe that human beings have changed. It's just at the moment we decide in the Western world to contrast against other parts of the world, or even in Australia in particular. We're going to talk monarchy, British rule.
Yeah.
Those countries are like this. Germany, on a deep down level, not secular, highly Christian and highly racist on an individual level. You want to go to Austria, Hungary, Poland doesn't even want Yukis in their country because they're different.
Yeah.
They didn't even let hardly any refugees come in when the whole Syrian and Libyan issues took place and there was a mass migration into Europe. Germany's like, you need to take more of these cheap workers in, all right? Not refugees. And Poland was like, no, Poland is for Polish people. The world is not what you think it is. We just using it to contrast because that's a new flavor of politics. Yeah. But when push comes to shove, as soon as a simple toilet paper rolls in Coles become a very, very highly sought after commodity, you've got all sorts of racist shit taking place, religious
just tribal,
abuse.
Yeah.
In Britain, hijabis get punched for walking from their supermarket to their apartment. People just running past and punch them in the back of the head.
Yeah, that's
you want to tell me secular? Bro, please. I know what you mean but don't make it like that's how it is on the ground. It's the lie. It's the fluff. We're the World Health Organization and we care. Right? I'm sorry. And by the way, if you feel what he's feeling, put it in the comments down below.
Let us know.
Click a link here, or down somewhere around here. Sorry, brother, but you understand
No,
what I mean?
I appreciate it.
There's a difference. We just happen to have money and we don't have a war on our borders. But as soon as shit hits the fan, LGBTQs are getting chucked off buildings. Bloody, if you're muzzy, be very careful.
Yeah.
Every beard will be shaved within 15 seconds of an all-out civil war in this country. All right? Even if, like I said, toilet paper ran out, shave your beard.
Yeah.
You're going to get decked. My name will be Alan Smith. Well, what's your dad's name? Brian Smith Goldstein. I'm everybody. I got the cross. I got the David's everything.
We got
Whatever
the
you
Yahweh
need.
fucking...
Whatever you need me to be, that's who I am. All right? Survival of the Billist.
Adaptable. Oh, shit.
I'm telling you, man.
I think that was peak, Bill. I don't think we can...
You know, you said why we're disagreeing so much. It's not that. It's because, you know, when I hear a blanket statement.
What was my blanket statement? That if...
We're a secular society.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Go to and tell me the ratio between Aussies and Greeks.
I mean, I stand by my point of secular in terms of state and religion, like legislation is relatively secular. But we can,
let me tell you something.
Let me finish. I'll just
all
wrap
right,
that
you
thought.
can finish your point.
Yeah,
Go
just
on.
the point is, I still think the legislation is influenced by the Abrahamic religions and values that they hold. So there's still influence, but my point is, I believe they are separated, state and religion.
Abrahamic religions speak peace, love, and equality, and all the rest of that, and God and righteousness. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to war,
of course, yeah,
they have no wiggle room in them. Whether it's Jewish Torah, the original Bible, or the Good News Bible, which is the gospel, or whether it's the Quran. It's like, it's good fun and games when you're dealing with each other.
Yeah.
Be good and help the poor and the wayfarer and the rest of the guy and your mum and your dad, and don't say oof.
Oof.
But when it comes to war, you fuck them up.
But that's why I like
that's how they taught, and that's how and that is reality. That's just the way it is.
That's why
it
I
just
like,
says it outright.
But I think that's the beauty of Islam as well, is it's a value system, but it's not this utopian, everything's always fun. Like, I feel like it takes into account the reality of an enemy. And it adds like a value system to defending yourself.
It removes contradiction. You know, the Crusaders, for example, were like, we come in peace, and they just left pieces of human beings everywhere. That's contradictory. You know how much effort it requires to kind of try to bring peace with the sword? So I'm not saying anything about Christianity, but the Crusaders came like 7 or 9 times to the Middle East to try and take back the Holy Land, which they never had. The reality there is that their message contradicted their action. Whereas with Islam, with Judaism, they've got it in there.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
It's all good and fun and games. And if you want to be protected, even if I'm fighting you and you say, I'll surrender, I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to help you out, feed you, and send you on your merry way.
Yeah.
Right? So it has its rules of war, but it's violent when it comes to war. So most of the message is good, humanity, but when it comes to war, they're dead set.
Yeah, but that's reality.
And that's what I love about the Abrahamic religions, to be honest, because it's not too much peace.
Yeah. It's
the
aligned
war
with reality.
Well, human nature and survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All is good when all is good, but when war comes along, you're just gonna have to be a bad boy. By the way, that's out in the cinemas.
Let's watch it and review it on the next episode.
Hey, send us a film. The director's cut.
Nabs, thanks, bro.
Oh, are you done for today? Are we?
It's closing in one. I gotta rush off.
That's right.
I would have loved to continue.
There's gonna be like Joe Rogan lengths, man. We gotta do 3 hours, man.
No,
This
next
goes on
one.
forever.
Next
I mean,
one.
it took like 25 minutes to set this up.
No, we took a bit.
All right.
Next one will be quicker, but I do love the setup.
Yeah,
but
well, we'll change it every time.
Man, I actually like.
We've got a lot of different, and especially if it's a sunny day, I got a nice Nice setup outside that we can do. Yeah.
Stay tuned, guys.
Stay tuned.
For bill information.
And hey, by the way, we're going to talk about Candace Owens, man.
Yeah.
Coming up in next show, we're going to talk about Candace. Start up her new show. She's great.
She did.
That guy called, I think his name is Benjamin Shapiro.
Oh, yep.
Or Ben.
That MF.
Yeah. Well, I want to keep my contracts. I don't want any NDAs. Can't speak about the NDAs because they told me I'm not allowed to speak.
Oh, not Shapiro. Yeah, he's
and we're going to discuss a few other people. So, man, whenever you're ready, dude,
man,
we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll make it up.
I'll make sure I get a new jacket.
Yes. Until then,
peace out.
See ya.
Bye bye.